Everyone experiences setbacks in life and in business. We know that all too well. As entrepreneurs, setbacks are just kind of a part of the way it goes. But that doesn't make it easier when you're stuck in the muck and mire. You sit there and go, okay, yeah, sure, it happens to everyone, but what am I supposed to do now? Well, that's why we have Rachel here today. She's going to tell us a little bit about herself, why this topic matters to her, and why it should matter to you. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Shauna. I'm so excited to be here. And we all have some sort of setbacks that happen, especially, I'm a mom and I'm working and juggling a lot, and it's bound to happen that something's going to come up or get in the way. And that can sometimes constrict our process or our flow or even our creativity or even our motivation and our optimism for what we're doing. And I'm very dedicated to the body, mind, spirit space. And it's very important to me to help elevate and help others shine. And that's part of what I do. So I'm here to share a little bit more about both getting through those setbacks and standing out and being visible and connecting.
Because all of these things are so intricately interconnected. We are both humans who live lives outside of our businesses, but then also very ambitious business owners who want to make an impact, who want to grow their business and actually do that thing that spark told you to do from the first place. So when you get stuck in that space of, something popped up in my life, or I'm not really sure how to even put myself out there, or what to say, or what to do, or how, or which connections to even make, it can become really overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So having somebody like you and having a community like the one that you have can make all the difference. And I think it'd be a good idea to talk about kind of first level why that does make such a difference in showing up for yourself as a human, but also showing up for yourself as a business owner.
Yeah. Well, I'll go back just a little bit and share a little bit of my story. And there's so many degrees of, setbacks and things that can come up in our lives. But I had a pretty big one. And there was a few things that happened, but one of them was losing my home very suddenly in a fire and actually losing everything I owned while I was a single mom raising twins who were 5 at the time. It was in the middle of the pandemic. I was finishing up grad school, getting my MBA, and I was working full time managing a team at a major startup, a major app. I had 20 people that I was managing who were all working with about 500 app users at any given time. So there was a lot on my plate. And, my way of dealing with that at the time was really to go into survival mode and put one foot in front of the other. And what happened was I did that so relentlessly that I got really burnt out. That I really, because, I think we take setbacks or tragedies in a couple different ways. We can either sort of sink or swim, right? And for me, there was no choice but to swim. But the effect of that, and I think even for us as entrepreneurs, can sometimes be that we just go so hard and we push so hard that we burn out, right? Or we lose our momentum or we lose our motivation. But what it really did for me was not only did I go into survival mode and get ahead, which ended up being a good thing, but the burnout made me realize even more what I wanted to go after on my own as my own dreams, my own purpose. And so, that was the sort of intersection where I really got clear on how I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I wanted to help other people. And it also made it really clear for me that I wanted to help elevate others and help them shine and put them in the spotlight, because what I noticed, especially at this particular time in our history, was that suddenly there were a lot more businesses online, right? Suddenly there's more service providers, coaches, entrepreneurs. For me, I'm very much in the mind, body, spirit space, but there was a lot more people kind of coming into the online world to offer those services, build courses. And many were struggling to stand out because it's crowded, it's noisy. And I got really clear that I was burnt out from working in the corporate world. I wanted to do my own thing. And in order for me to stand out, I knew I have to put myself out there. And that was really scary. And I still talk to so many entrepreneurs that are so afraid to put themselves out there. They're still so afraid of what are people going to think? What do I share? Where do I share it? How often do I share it? So, part of what I wanted to share here today is that it is very scary and very challenging and not easy to overcome. However, taking baby steps and just saying, I'm going to just share a little bit about my story, something about your background. You don't have to share your whole life story, but for me, being like actually speaking about those things that were hard, speaking about some of the tragedy that I had overcome, speaking about some of those like more vulnerable things was really a key element. So I do really encourage people who are kind of like not sure what to share your story, share who you are, because ultimately people who want to work with you are going to resonate with something about you or your story. Your experience and what you bring on to the table is so important, and your expertise. But often what people are going to connect with is something that they resonated about you because you were vulnerable and you shared something about yourself.
That is 100% true. And I want to bring it back to probably the most important thing that you said was about taking baby steps, about just kind of breaking a bigger, seemingly insurmountable mountain into simply chiseling out the stairs that get you to the top. I think that concept on its own can really carry you through some of the more difficult parts of life and business. And the way you said it actually made me think, especially with your girls being, it was five years old at the time that this incident happened. They probably would have been really into Elsa. And I want to say, I think it was probably around that time that Frozen 2 came out when Anna started singing Do the Next Right Thing. And that was one of those songs that it hits, especially as an adult, and you go, oh man, okay, you just got to do the next right thing. And within your story, I heard that one of the most important next right things that you had to kind of step into as that baby step was clarity. Mm-hmm. So when people are looking for clarity, that can come in a number of different forms. What would you say is the most impactful form of clarity someone can kind of look for when they're looking to push past a point of stagnation, say? Yeah, well, I love to vision and also sort of reverse engineer. So what is the goal? What is the ultimate goal? Is it money? Is it freedom? Is it more time with your family? Is it a very specific goal around, your business or your life or your health? And then what would it look like to have that? You already imagine that you have that goal. You've reached that milestone, whatever it is in your career, in your health, in your relationships, whatever it is. And then what will it take to get from where you are to get to that place? Now, Rome was not built in a day, but there are, I'm going to guarantee, several action items that you can take, even if it's a small step. I do very personally believe that the visualization, the believing it's possible, the focusing on the desired result, and it really imagining, and for me also embodying, like, what would it feel like to have that? Let's just say your goal is, to make $200,000 in your business in the next year. You could throw any goal out there. What is it going to feel like when you have that? What's going to open up and allow? What's that going to allow for you in your life? Is that going to give you? And then this kind of ties into core values. For me personally, the money is great, but what does the money allow? More time with my family, more travel to beautiful exotic places, more time for me to relax or go hiking in nature or take care of myself. So really reverse engineering, when you're looking for clarity, it's not usually that we want the material thing, although sometimes it is that achievement or that material thing or that body or relationship or, whatever it is that we're focused on. It's usually the core value that's tied to that thing. How's it going to make us feel? So embody it.
imagine you already have it. What does it feel like? And when you feel into what it feels like to already have something, you're probably going to get excited. You're probably going to actually get some dopamine and some serotonin and some oxytocin going, because you're like, oh my gosh, oh, but my bank account has, whatever the number is. That means I can go get a massage today. I can relax. I can hire an assistant to take care of these 20 things for me, right? So in getting clarity, hold the vision, feel it, imagine it, believe it, and then reverse engineer what are some of the steps that it's going to take to get there. Now, that may not happen right away. Maybe it's like, okay, I just need to start sharing who I am on social media. Okay, that means I need to break past my fear of being seen or caring what somebody's going to think of me, or care what Susie from high school who didn't like me. None of that matters, right? So you have to kind of get past yourself and your fears, because if you really want to aim for something higher, you're going to have to change what you're doing. You're going to have to do things differently, and you're probably going to have to get uncomfortable. So I always say that too. You have to be willing to get a little bit or a lot uncomfortable to get that desired result. Absolutely. But, hold the vision and then reverse engineer. Maybe it's just taking that first step of I'm going to go live and I'm going to tell people who I am, so they know who I am. And then I'm going to make an effort to network and start making some connections with new people, because if I just keep my little small circle or the same 10 people seeing me in my Facebook posts, well, I'm not going to grow my business. You've got to break outside of that. And I do really believe in the power of being vulnerable and sharing our story. No matter what your business is, what industry you're in, what your goal is, that doesn't mean you have to pull out all of the dark, dirty secrets, but do share who you are, because people are going to resonate with you. It doesn't matter what you offer. There is something about you as an individual human being that they're going to connect with and find a spark with and say, oh my gosh, I want to work with that person because they're quirky like me, or we both have twins, or we've both gone through something tragic in our life and have overcome it to get to the next level. So don't be afraid to be yourself and put yourself out there. So that's the first step. And then when I reverse engineer, I really do. I spend time crunching the numbers. Well, what would it take for me to reach this goal? If it's a financial goal, if it's to, go on a vacation, what do I need to do to go on that vacation? How much do I need to save? So it's really breaking it down into actionable steps that are doable and holding the bigger vision.
I just feel like I could, have a seat with my tea or my water and just say, all right, she's got this. We're good. We're going to be fine.
We talk about that all day. Yeah.
I mean, up and down all day, every day. I love it so much, because we're seeking clarity in order to give us perspective, which then informs what our next action, tactical, practical action item might be. And that might be, yes, breaking past fears and showing up in a way that's different than you're used to. And that might mean making connections with people who scare you. Trust me, I've been there. I've looked at people and I've been like, I don't want to go near that person. They're intimidating me. Or rather, I feel intimidated by them. That's a huge mental switch. Wait, why? Oh, it's because of this specific achievement that they've accomplished. They feel to me like they're on this pedestal. Well, guess what? That's the reason you should reach out. Pushing past that barrier. And I've done it, and it makes such a big impact. And it's so much easier, actually. Before I even get there, I noticed too a lot of reference to this sort of sense of awareness and this internal reflection in order to see what needs to be done. And that's where this whole body, mind, spirit comes into play, because although we are thinking about the tactical, practical next steps in order to accelerate your life and career, the way you do that is through that sort of personal connection and interpersonal connection. This is why being vulnerable is so important, not only for content, social media and attraction and all that jazz, but also for yourself. Because you're not going to be able to unearth the things that are necessary if you're not able to crack that egg and be vulnerable with yourself. Embrace the parts of you that might not be so pretty. That's okay. As you said, I'm paraphrasing here, we're not necessarily recording ourselves ugly crying in the closet, okay, guys? That's not what we're supposed to do.
But it's okay if you do.
Absolutely. My sense of authenticity and being vulnerable might be different than yours, and that's okay. But it's easier to do that when you're able to take a comprehensive look at it, looking at the body, mind, spirit, looking at not just the tactical, practical, but also the woo, I guess, and the really touchy-feely, mushy stuff that people always make these faces about, but actually really, really, really matter. You gotta have both. And how you do that the most effectively is if you have a community and a team. And those things can be synonymous, but they can also be a little bit separate, because a community is really that emotional support. That team can actually help you execute on whatever those next steps are by providing scaffolding or direction or who knows what. And so this is where body, mind, spirit world comes into the conversation. So take a minute, because this actually really intrigued me when I found out about this. Take a minute to just describe, what does this look like? How does this body, mind, spirit world really accomplish that whole community and team feel all in one? Let the people know.
Yeah. Well, I've always just had an affinity for personal development. I was a massage therapist before I went into the business space. I love healing, but actually going back to kind of getting through some of these tougher moments in life, whether it's, anxiety that we're dealing with or stress or things that have happened, I started to really cultivate and use tools myself for healing, and saw people around me, and that can look so different for so many people. And there's so much out there. So whether, for me, it was journaling and breath work and some different forms of meditation and really investing in my self-care and going on retreats and doing things like that. But there's so much out there, and I love all of it. And I definitely love the woo, but not even just loving the woo. It's what it did for me. When I started to engage in some of these activities, like the breath work and the journaling and creating a morning routine and taking a few minutes, it doesn't have to be sitting for an hour, but 5 minutes, you can meditate, you can close your eyes, you can unplug. It made such a huge difference in my life. Actually, it reset my nervous system so that I could have more clarity, so that I could focus, so that I could be more present, not only for myself, but for my kids, for the people around me, and for my business, and bringing that frequency, that energy into what I do. Now, I love soaking up that information, learning about what's out there. And I had cultivated a large audience across multiple social platforms very intentionally of coaches and healers and people in this space over the last few years. And it really became my mission and part of my purpose to help them stand out from this noise in the online space, because it was getting very crowded. There's so many people that do readings and give guidance, and there's channels, and there's mediums, and there's coaches, and some of them are charging a lot of money. And I kept hearing stories, people feeling like they, had wasted money, or they weren't really getting what they wanted or needed. And so really, all of that to say that body, mind, spirit world is sort of the culmination of many years of me both being in this space and living this as part of my own truth, to connecting very intentionally. When I say getting uncomfortable and networking, I started just networking and connecting with people in this space like crazy, very intentionally. And that's a whole nother conversation when we talk about your niche and your audience. But that focus has, brought me light years in this space. And I focused on that very particular space. But it then became my mission. How do I find people who are experts and professionals and quality coaches and make them stand out so that the people who need what they offer can find them? That's what it's about. And not to go too deep into anything political, but I think we're living in a time right now where there is a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty. And even in social media, I use social media to share and leverage others, but the vision is really to create a community of both transformational entrepreneurs, healers, coaches, those offering services that are coming from a place of integrity, coming from their heart, their soul, and connecting those with the people who are really seeking and wanting and looking for answers and looking for guidance. So I've created, and I am in the process of creating this ecosystem that, whether social media is used or not, can thrive and be sustainable to connect the healers, the transformational entrepreneurs, the light workers, some call them, with the people who need those services and want to connect. And even in this marketing space, I've been very successful in even the marketing space with that audience because I understand the language. I understand that many of these healers and coaches are empaths. They're not marketing experts. They don't know how to build a funnel, and they're trying to figure it out, or they're spending a bunch of money. It's so important to be able to communicate with like-minded people. So body, mind, spirit world is just that. It's to connect people. It's to create a community. It's to really bring a trickle effect of transformation and healing at a much bigger level. So, by sharing the people providing this type of these services, these offers who have dedicated their life to helping and healing others, if I can share them and connect them with the people who need the healing, maybe there will be more healing and less fear for our planet, for humanity, in the wake of all of the riffraff and the political stuff. It's like, let's just focus on healing ourselves and each other, and that will spread out. So it's a big vision and a big mission, but it's really about connection, community. And then I do take some of that off the table for those empaths who are scared to go on social media or don't know where to begin or don't know where to share. And I basically blast you out, your offers, your services, your business, your story, to an audience really between 2 and 7 million by utilizing and leveraging right now a lot of groups on, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We use all kinds of social media as we're building this ecosystem and this community that will be sustainable without social media. So I know I said a lot there.
I feel like, so this is just the tip of the iceberg. I just wanted to say that because we've had a bit of a conversation about this, and there's so much more involved. And this is literally just the doorway. This is just the sign outside the door, not the actual deep down amazing work that can be done when you're connected with the right people. So I know that behind that door, there's a lot that we could dive into, but I'm going to give you a moment to share maybe one thing, like a sneak peek behind that door, that the people who are watching today really need to hear from you about the journey that is body, mind, spirit world. Now, I know that was a big question that I just asked you, so I'm going to give you a minute to think about it. And in the meantime, I'm going to remind everybody that conversations like this, opportunities like this, to have these conversations happen every single week. And you can be a part of the conversation. Leave a comment, ask a question. We're not going anywhere. Rachel and I are hanging out. We will be responding and engaging in whatever way makes sense to you. You're in charge, boss. So subscribe and join us for the next conversation as well. Now, Rachel, go ahead and tell the people what they need to hear. We'll take a peek behind those doors.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, really what we've mentioned here around connecting, networking, getting outside your comfort zone. You said the word engage. That is huge. Engaging. If you're not active in the conversations, if you're not sharing who you are and what you offer and getting active in conversations in those spaces that have the people that you want to connect with, find the people you want to connect with because they're there, and sometimes it's eliminating some of the noise of being in too many groups and too many places. Pick one. Start with one group, one space that has some people, and give some time and energy to really engaging and networking and connecting in that one space. Start there. That's what I did. When I started my consulting business, I picked one group. And I did something I was really scared to do. I cold messaged probably about 150 people. And I had 80 people book one-on-one calls with me, connection calls within 3 weeks because of my messaging and because I was sharing my authenticity. I genuinely just wanted to meet and connect with people. Yeah, we want people to do business with us. Yeah, we want people to buy our offers. But if you're coming from a place of, I just want to connect and get to know you, and we share each other and we get to know each other, those other things are going to come. They're going to fall into place. Trust me on this. So just make an effort to connect, to engage, be authentic, and share yourself. People love the authentic, raw truth. That's why reality shows are so popular. They really are, because people love to see real, and we have enough out there that's not real. Don't get me wrong. I use AI. I use touched up photographs in my marketing. But at the end of the day, getting in a conversation like this and just being real and being honest is going to get you the best. That's the best tool out there. That is the best tool out there.
Absolutely. And people have an opportunity to join you in body, mind, spirit world?
Absolutely. We have a free, if you want to join and be part of the community for free, if you want me to blast you out there to millions of people and really get you known and start to share you, there's options for everybody. I would say come join, because this is a community that's going to be growing and building and creating more of that connection over time. We're just getting started. So this is a great time to come in and be part of this as we grow and we build and we connect and we build this sustainable, nurturing community of healers and seekers and just people that want to be connected to people with love, with heart, with integrity, with purpose.
Oh, I love that so much. Love, heart, integrity, and purpose. I feel like that's one of those things that we could probably put on a necklace or a tattoo and just be like, this is the thing. Everyone come and join us in this beautiful space.
Yes.
It sounds super woo, but that's what I want.
Yeah, we got to remember that stuff, because there's enough darkness and crazy going on out there. We have to, be aware and also stay in the light.
Absolutely. And I encourage you all to take part in this, at least for the free option here, because this is a chance for you to peek even further behind the curtain, see what's going on, and see what options might be available for you to connect with like-minded people and get support growing your business in a way that feels aligned, in a way that, as you can hear, like, this is the place to be if integrity and light is your mission. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a splendid rest of your day. Join us for the next conversation, and we will chat soon. See you later now.